I remember the summer when I was first asked to teach a Torah class. I was a student in yeshiva in Jerusalem, and some of the rabbis that normally taught were away. And I was asked to teach about this week's Parsha, which is Tazriah-Metzorah, and it's about one of the most seemingly uninviting, uninteresting topics possible about the tsaras, which is a spiritual skin affliction which people suffered with. And it talks all about it in tremendous detail. And it's not even relevant. We don't have these things today. We haven't had them for many, many centuries. So it wasn't exactly the most fun Parsha to teach for your first class. And I remember thinking, okay, well, let's go see what it really says and find some interest in it. And as I studied it, it rapidly became one of my favorite, if you can say that, parts of the Torah. Which is anyway an interesting thing, that the more you really unpack something and you understand it, the more you love it. That's sort of our theory of Jewish education, which is find out more, because then you come to care about it and to appreciate and to enjoy it. So this parsha, I found out, really has the most incredible insights that are so relevant into it, which is this. Our sages say that these odd appearances on the skin and on the clothing and even on the wall are really in the day when we were fortunate enough to have them, was a kind of a spiritual warning system. In Israel today, sadly, when missiles are being flung at us from Iran and from our enemies, so we get a spiritual warning. We get a physical warning that goes off, and the sirens go off, and everybody takes evasive action. So in the old days, when your personality was off and it was dangerous, you'd get a spiritual warning, and it came in terms of one of these marks on the skin or the clothing or the house, and these marks, our sages say, were associated with different failures of character. A person who was just not fully sufficiently developed, whether it be in terms of being utterly selfish, or being willing to slander and gossip others and speak about them terribly. So such a person would get one of these marks that would indicate to them that something is very, very wrong. Take action. And part of that would include being quarantined. They would be off outside to camp by themselves for a while, and it might lead them, hopefully, to reconsider the way that they were interacting with other people. And that would be a motivating moment. You really make a change. We don't have these things anymore, and really, you could breathe a sigh of relief, because it probably is much easier than being quarantined. You can imagine missing a week at work and being away from the house, and it could be really difficult and unpleasant. So thank God we don't have them anymore. But sadly, that also means that we don't really get the warning notice, and we're not being called to become more self-aware and to check in on some of the things that are going on in our lives, that some habits that we formed that maybe we should address, or maybe some additional skills that we need to pick up. So if you get a chance and you read the Torah portion, you have to read between the lines, and you have to look at some of the additional commentaries and things that tell you what's really going on under the surface. And really, hopefully, it might prompt us to be a little more self-aware, and to think about the way that we interact with others. Is it really working for them? Is it working for us? Is it really what it could be? And maybe we need to take action. And so, hope you have a great Shabbos, and I hope that all of your the finer points of your character are something that you become more and more aware of, and can be more and more attuned to, and ultimately to find in your own life the motivation to, if need be, make a change. Shabbat Shalom.